bagaimana setelah go public? Dengan go public, perusahaan akan menjadi perusahaan terbuka dan pemiliknya berbagi kepemilikan dengan publik, serta mengikuti peraturan pasar modal. Pemerintah memberikan insentif pajak bagi perusahaan go public yang memenuhi kriteria tertentu terkait kepemilikan saham. Kemudian, perusahaan akan mendapatkan perhatian dari media dan para analis. Produk, jasa, serta proyek perusahaan akan semakin dikenal dan dipercaya. Peluang bisnis dan kerjasama akan semakin terbuka. Dengan pendanaan melalui go public, ekspansi usaha menjadi lebih mudah dan cepat, sehingga menunjang pertumbuhan kinerja perusahaan yang berdampak pada meningkatnya kepercayaan publik dan stakeholders. Pemegang saham pendiri atau founder tidak hanya dapat menikmati apresiasi harga saham yang dimilikinya seiring dengan peningkatan harga saham di bursa, tetapi juga mendapatkan perlakuan pajak transaksi penjualan yang lebih menguntungkan dibandingkan jika perusahaan belum go public.
Jokowi hopes Krakatau Steel's new factory to fulfill domestic steel needs. Higher cigarette excise tariff threatens 90,000 workers. Hello, good evening viewers. Market Headlines is ready to provide you information from business, economic and capital market sector. And as the pandemic is still ongoing, we will provide you the latest COVID-19 information. Please stay safe by taking some simple precautions such as physical distancing, wearing a mask, avoiding crowds, cleaning your hands, and having less mobility. And with me, Fajar Wayong, this is Market Headlines. Let's open up market headline. President Joko Widodo inaugurated the hot strip mill 2 steel factory owned by Krakatau Steel in Cilegon, Banten. President hopes that with the operation of this factory, domestic steel needs can be met. The president said that steel consumption in Indonesia is very large and continues to increase from year to year. Over the last 5 years, the demand for steel has increased by 40%. The need for steel is not only for infrastructure development, but also for the development of various industry, especially automotive. Seeing the magnitude of this need, Jokowi does not want steel supplies to rely solely on foreign products. Therefore, hot strip mill 2 is expected to be able to reduce the number of imports so as to spur Indonesia's economic growth.
Beroperasinya pabrik ini, kita akan dapat memenuhi kebutuhan baja dalam negeri. Jadi nggak ada lagi impor-impor yang kita lakukan. Ini yang kita harapkan. Sehingga sekali lagi akan menekan angka impor baja negara kita yang saat ini berada pada peringkat kedua komoditas impor Indonesia. Sehingga kita harapkan nanti bisa menghemat devisa 29 triliun rupiah per tahun. Ini angka yang sangat besar sekali. Saya titip kepada para menteri untuk terus mendukung para pelaku industri baja dan besi, mendukung BUMN kita agar menjadi profesional dan terus menguntungkan untuk mewujudkan klaster 10 juta ton industri baja di Cilegon ini yang ditargetkan akan terrealisasi di tahun.
Meanwhile, Krakatau Steel is targeting the automotive sector to distribute hot rolled coil products produced at the hot strip mill factory which has recently started operation. President Director of Krakatau Steel, Silmi Karim, say the hot strip mill factory 2 has been completed in May 2021 with an investment of 7.5 trillion rupiah on a 25-hectare land. With a production capacity of 1.5 million tons per year, this factory will increase the total production capacity to 3.9 million tons per year. Silmi continued, in addition to increasing national production capacity, this factory will also increase the competitiveness of Indonesian steel products. The reason is that the hot strip mill 2 plant is operated more efficiently by cutting costs by 25%. In addition, this factory also applies 4.0 automation technology.
Mill kedua Krakatau Steel dibangun dengan investasi 7,5 triliun rupiah di atas lahan 25 hektar dengan kapasitas produksi 1,5 juta ton per tahun. Oleh sebab itu, produk HRC, HSM2 nantinya akan diutamakan untuk mengisi pangsa pasar otomotif yang membutuhkan kualitas baja terbaik. Hal ini tentu seiring dengan rencana Indonesia untuk menjadi salah satu pusat produksi mobil listrik dunia.
The government noted that the realization of the national economic recovery had reached 53% until mid-September 2021. Meanwhile, the realization of social protection and business support has reached more than 50%. As of September 17, 2021, the government noted that the realization of the National Economic Recovery Program had reached 395.92 trillion rupiah, or 53% of the total budget ceiling of 744.77 trillion rupiah. This figure was absorbed quite positively in several clusters, such as in the health cluster, which was 45.3%. The figure was 97.28 trillion rupiah from the second quarter, which was only 47.71 trillion rupiah. Meanwhile, in the realization of the social protection cluster, the government recorded that it had reached 112.87 trillion rupiah, or 60.5%. This figure is up from 66.43 trillion rupiah in the second quarter of 2021.
Dana PEN di 17 September mencapai 53% dari pagu 744,77 triliun. Ini sudah digunakan 395,92 triliun. Realisasi di klaster kesehatan ini sudah 45,3%, yaitu 47,71 triliun dari 97,28 triliun. Ini di akhir kuartal kedua. Kemudian klaster dari perlindungan sosial di akhir kuartal kedua sudah digunakan 60,5%, yaitu dari 66,43 triliun dari 112,87 triliun.
Erlangga Hartarto added that as many as 4.9 million people have registered for the Batch 20 Pre-Employment Card Program and as many as 800,000 have been received. Throughout 2021, the total recipients of pre-employment cards, consisting of batches of 12 to 20, are 5.2 million people. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel. And we're moving on to global update. Chinese company Evergrande has started to repay investors in its wealth management business with property. Meanwhile, Canadians gave Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party a victory in Monday's parliamentary elections, but his gamble to win a majority of seats failed. And more stories on today's International Minute. Chinese company Evergrande has started to repay investors in its wealth management business with property, as the world's most indebted real estate developer faces a key test this week. Major banks have reportedly been told that they won't receive interest payments on loans that are due Monday, while interest payments of $84 million on the firm's bonds are also due on Thursday. The company shares fell by more than 10% in Hong Kong trade on Monday. The property giant's deepening debt problems have triggered fears over the impact its potential collapse could have on China's economy. Canadians gave Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party a victory in Monday's parliamentary elections, but his gamble to win a majority of seats failed, and the result was remarkably similar to the election 2 years ago. The Liberals won the most seats of any party. The 49-year-old Trudeau channeled the star power of his father, the Liberal icon and late Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, when he first won election in 2015 and has led his party to the top finish in 2 elections since. The Federal Reserve is expected this week to send its clearest signal yet that it will start reining in its ultra-low interest rate policies later this year, a first step toward unwinding the extraordinary support it's given the economy since the pandemic struck 18 months ago. Many economists think the Fed will formally announce a pullback in November in response to a steady recovery from the pandemic recession and an acceleration in inflation that has raised widespread concerns. This week's Fed policy meeting could lay the groundwork for that announcement. It was a United Nations speech that got attention like few others, a plug for vaccines, young people, and the Earth's well-being from superstar K-pop band BTS. Addressing the stage for a sustainability event, the 7-member musical juggernaut appeared before the renowned green marble backdrop in the General Assembly Hall on Monday to help promote UN goals for 2030, including ending extreme poverty, preserving the planet, and achieving gender equality. South Korean President Moon Jae-in introduced the pop stars as special presidential envoys. IDX Channel reports. Market headlines will be right back with deep inside coverage. Stay tuned.
Awalnya nggak langsung yakin, tapi setelah ikut 2 kali acara edukasi Bursa Efek, akhirnya tertarik juga.
Karena mudah, saya ajarkan ibu-ibu lain, sampai anak saya juga ikutan.
Selesai dagang, saya bawa 100.000 untuk nabung saham. Hasilnya jelas sekali.
Yuk kita nabung saham sekarang.
Awali hari Anda dengan beragam informasi bisnis terkini yang kami kemas dalam berita teraktual dan berkualitas. Power Breakfast, informasi terkini seputar ekonomi, bisnis, pasar modal, dan industri kreatif yang dikemas secara ringan. New Screen menyajikan informasi ekonomi, bisnis, dan keuangan. Market Headline menayangkan berita ekonomi dan bisnis dalam bahasa Inggris. Saksikan program-program berita ekonomi dan bisnis terkini langsung dari sumbernya, live hanya di IDX Channel. Your Trustworthy Economic, Business, and Capital Market Channel.
Karena dia ini kan dikenalnya sebagai seorang influencer kesehatan. Sebenarnya sudah berapa lama sih menggeluti fokus ke dunia kesehatan ini, gaya hidup sehat?
Aku dari 2009 lah mulai start olahraga dan menjalani hidup sehat tuh dari 2009. Olahraga dan healthy lifestyle tuh memang udah jadi bagian dari hidup aku. Yang bikin aku konsisten tuh karena ada aftermath feelingnya kalau misalnya udah nyoba suatu hal.
Indonesia dipastikan sudah terlepas dari jurang resesi ekonomi setelah berhasil tumbuh positif.
Pemerintah melihat bahwa Q4 adalah potensi untuk kita membalikkan keadaan kembali. Kita memperkirakan
Welcome back on Market Headline. The plan to increase excise duty on tobacco products will certainly increase the burden on tobacco farmers. The Indonesian Tobacco Farmers Association asked the governments not to increase the excise duty this year, given the increasingly difficult conditions for farmers due to the impact of the pandemic. The government's plan to increase the cigarette excise tax this year will certainly hit farmers' income, where the excise rate on tobacco products itself is recommended to increase for next year, as well as the retail selling price of cigarettes. The Indonesian Tobacco Farmers Association firmly rejected the plan. chairman of the Indonesian Tobacco Farmers Association, Suseno, explained that the economic condition of farmers would be affected by this policy. If the excise tax is increased, the financing burden will be even greater at the bottom level of the tobacco industry chain, namely farmers.
Petani itu adalah rangkaian terakhir dari pembebanan biaya. Jadi dari tenaga kerja dan lain-lain, tenaga pabrik, itu ujung-ujungnya nanti petani. Nah, kalau rangkaian dari industri hasil tembakau itu ujungnya petani, ya nanti pembebanan kenaikan cukai oleh pabrik itu ya ke petani. Akhir-akhirnya itu ke petani.
Suseno said that under these conditions, the increase in excise tax will burden the tobacco industry, which in the end will further depress prices at the farm level, where factories will reduce purchases from farmers. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel. The government's plan to raise cigarette excise rates again in 2022 is opposed by retailers. The Association of Indonesian Retail Cooperatives, or AKRINDO, say the impact of the increase in excise would have an impact on the selling power of small traders. In addition to having an impact on the production chain, the increase in tobacco excise will also have an impact on the sales distribution chain. Deputy General Chairman of the Indonesian Retail Cooperative Association, Anang Zunaidi, asked the government to consider the current decline in consumer purchasing power, which in turn will reduce the selling power of retail traders. Moreover, AKRINDO admitted that in the National Economic Recovery Program, the retail sector has not been touched by government incentives, so that the position of small traders will be weakened by the increase in cigarette excise. AKRINDO say that so far, cigarettes have contributed 20 to 25% of sales turnover. In addition, he also warned that the increase in cigarette excise tax would lead to an increase in illegal cigarettes.
Daya beli konsumen di sisi pedagang atau retail akan terjadi pelemahan daya jual, yang kemudian imbasnya tentu akan sangat melemahkan usaha para retail mikro dan retail koperasi. Apalagi selama ini dari program ekonomi nasional, pemulihan ekonomi ini belum.
Meantime, the government's plan to raise excise tariffs on tobacco products in 2022 is considered to have the potential to cause a reduction in the workforce, while the increase in excise rates is said to threaten 90,000 tobacco industry workers. The government plans to increase the excise rate on tobacco products or cigarette excise in 2020. The government has already raised the 2022 target for excise tax revenues by 11.9% to 203.9 trillion rupiah. On this basis, the excise tax rate on tobacco products is estimated to increase because it is the support and the main component of government excise revenue, which is always more than 95% of the total excise revenue. Therefore, many parties hope government not to increase excise rates next year, especially for labor-intensive sectors such as hand-rolled cigarettes and tobacco farming. Because during a pandemic like today, maintaining the stability of labor-intensive industries that absorb a lot of workers can actually be one way to maintain the economy. A number of parties are of the opinion that the increase in excise rates has the potential to cause a reduction in labor and tobacco absorption. The province of East Java, which is the largest tobacco producing center in Indonesia, even noted that there had been a reduction of 5,000 cigarette factory workers since last year. In fact, more than 50% of workers in the tobacco products industry are in East Java. He added that currently there are at least 90,000 more tobacco workers in East Java. For information, East Java's contribution to state revenue via excise on tobacco products is also the largest. Last year, East Java contributed 101.9 trillion rupiah in excise duty, or equivalent to 59.38% of the total national excise revenue. This makes East Java the province most vulnerable to economic impacts if the tobacco products industry is disrupted. IDX Channel reports. The Directorate General of Customs and Excise recorded that excise revenues from tobacco products until July 2021 had reached 101.28 trillion rupiah, or equivalent to 58.27% of the 2021 target. The Directorate General of Customs and Excise at the Ministry of Finance noted that tobacco excise tax revenues until July 2021 had reached 101.26 trillion rupiah, equivalent to 58.27% of the target for excise on tobacco products in 2021 of 173.78 trillion rupiah. Overall, excise revenue until July 2021 has reached 104.42 trillion. Director of Technical and Excise Facilities at the Directorate General of Customs and Excise at the Ministry of Finance, Nirwala Dwi Haryanto, say that the amount had reached 57.85% of the 2021 target of 180 trillion rupiah. Nirwala explained of this amount, excise duty on tobacco products, which is the main contributor to total excise revenue, was recorded at 101.26 trillion rupiah. In addition, Nirwala said that the production of tobacco products until July 2021 has increased by 2.8% when compared to the same period last year, from a total production of 172.92 billion sticks in July 2020. Meanwhile, if viewed by the type, the highest increase occurred in cigarettes hand-rolled by 10.6% on an annual basis. Meanwhile, machine-made cigarettes recorded a slight growth of 0.6% on an annual basis in July 2020. On the other hand, machine-made white cigarettes decreased by 5.1%. IDX Channel reports. Market headlines will be right back after this quick break from Capital Markets Information. Stay tuned.
Ya halo pemirsa, nama saya Mangivera Tjong. Saat ini saya menjabat sebagai presenter dan juga associate producer. Saat ini saya membawakan program IDX Session Closing, di mana di program tersebut saya menganalisa isu-isu ekonomi yang menarik, baik dari luar negeri maupun juga dari dalam negeri. Tentunya hingga saat ini saya masih terus belajar dan saya sangat menikmati profesi tersebut. Harga saham emiten Bank Digital PT Bank Jago Tbk terkoreksi di tengah munculnya transaksi saham besar-besar UVCR yang ternyata naik sekitar 4,22%.
Welcome back on Market Headline. At the Jakarta Composite Index intraday movement, earlier today, JCI was open at the level of 6,015.65 and then approaching the closing time on the first session. The index was on the level of 6,031.38 and then the index was showing weakening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level of 6,060.75. In short, JCI went down 0.26%. And next we're going to see the sectoral movement leading the dynamics of today's trading. We got cyclical as the leader of strengthening trend that went up 1.46%. Energy went up 0.62%. Finance went down 1.01% and industry went down 0.84%. And moving on to top gainers and top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading session. Erajaya went up 2.5% to the level of 615 rupiah per share. Oils went up 5.97% to the level of 426 rupiah per share. Fren went up 0.83% to the level of 122 rupiah per share. AYLS went up 4.76% to the level of 220 rupiah per share. Meantime, the top losers for today's trading, we got Bank Rakyat Indonesia went down 0.56% to the level of 3,570 rupiah per share. Bank Central Asia went down 1.44% to the level of 32,450. Arto went down 2.94% to the level of 15,700 rupiah. And CARE went down 3.62% to the level of 426 rupiah per share. And next we're going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. Open at the level of 14,237. Rupiah showing strengthening trend towards US dollar and was closed at the level of 14,203. In summary, rupiah went up 0.46%. Hexindo Adi Perkasa continues to boost its performance throughout 2021, in line with the potential for the company's heavy equipment sales to increase. Hexindo Adi Perkasa continues to boost its performance throughout 2021, in line with the potential for the company's heavy equipment sales to increase. The Hitachi brand heavy equipment distributor is aiming for a total revenue of $359.42 million during 2021. The company's net profit in the same period is set at $31.75 million. Dwi Sasono, director of Hexindo Adi Perkasa, said that the projected revenue and net profit are based on the sales of Hexa heavy equipment, which has the potential to increase this year. Hexa also targets heavy equipment sales this year to exceed 1,500 units. Just for comparison, last year Hexa realized 1,266 units of heavy equipment sales. In the second quarter of 2021, Hexa sold 428 units of heavy equipment. Meanwhile, sales of Hexa heavy equipment in the mining sector are predicted to increase. This is because the prices of a number of mining commodities are indeed on an increasing trend this year, one of which is nickel. IDX Channel reports. The retail sector issuer Erajaya Swasembada is looking at the potential of the Malaysian and Singaporean markets for business expansion. This is supported by Erajaya's position, which already has several subsidiaries in Malaysia and Singapore. The retail sector issuer Erajaya Swasembada is looking at the potential of the Malaysian and Singaporean markets for business expansion. Erajaya Swasembada's head of investor relations and business development, Jan Stefanus, said that Malaysia and Singapore are potential markets for Erajaya. Switch, one of Erajaya's subsidiaries in Malaysia, continued Jan, posted a fairly good and increasing contribution during the COVID-19 pandemic for Erajaya. Jan said Indonesia will remain the market and focus of Erajaya. Based on the company's financial statements as of June 30, 2021, it is recorded that Erajaya has 7 subsidiaries in Malaysia, consisting of direct and indirect ownership. Meanwhile, in Singapore, Erajaya also has 7 subsidiaries, both direct and indirect. Regarding financial performance, in first semester of 2021, Era Jaya posted revenue of 21.35 trillion rupiah, up from the same period in the previous year of 14.46 trillion rupiah. Net profit also rose to 558.54 billion rupiah from the previous 113.42 billion rupiah. IDX Channel reports. And step aside from market condition as the efforts in achieving herd immunity is still going on. Here it is an update data about COVID-19 vaccinations in Indonesia. And the news close our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic, business, and capital market channel. And we can get through this pandemic by staying disciplined on health protocols. Everyone must wear a mask because it can protect us from COVID-19. Use masks properly and encourage family and people around us to do the same. I'm Fajar Wayong. Have a nice evening and stay safe.